Chris Hardwick, who, you know, before today, I would say
was the
everybody
loves Chris
nerd
Hardwick. Cool. He was the guy that
everyone loved him. Kind of the white Steve Harvey, because he's got a lot of jobs. Well, he is out at one of his former, actually a company that he started, but they have now cut ties with him.
Completely scrubbed him off their website and any history that he had in actually founding the company.
Yes, founded the Nerdist website, but they are now have now scrubbed him, as you said, from the site and cut all ties. And in fact, they are now launching an investigation. The new owner of Nerdist is Legendary Entertainment, and they made this announcement on the heels of an essay that was written by Chris's ex-girlfriend, Chloe Dykstra. And in this essay, she details what she says was years of emotional and sexual abuse at the hands of the person she was with. Now, she never says Chris's name, but there are a lot of things in it that point toward him, even though she doesn't say it. And clearly the people at Legendary and at Nerdist feel that that's who she's talking about, because they made this announcement that they are cutting ties with him.
Exactly, but what is unclear now is the fate of Chris Hardwick's involvement in television shows, including his show, The Talking Dead, which is on AMC and is sort of an after show that discusses what was on the episode, as well as a game show that he has on NBC. NBC and AMC have not responded to whether they are carrying out their own investigation or whether or not this is going to affect their relationship with him professionally.
Isn't this the kind of downside, though? Not the downside, but some people are saying it's a downside of the Me Too movement, where people are making allegations that haven't been adjudicated and that people are getting punished when nothing's gone through the legal system yet.
Right. Well, we should say some of the things that Chloe says about this ex, who she didn't name the person, but said that, you know, there were very strict rules from the second they started dating. She's not allowed to have any close male friends. She could not go out at night without him. She wasn't allowed to drink because.
But again, this is one side of the story.
Right. These are. I'm just throwing out the things that she said because we haven't actually said it yet. So I want people to understand what she is talking about.
The basis of the allegations are.
What she's saying is he was a controlling boyfriend, but more, I think, egregious is that she says that after they split, he made a number of calls to her employers, people that would have given her work, and basically tried to torpedo her career.
Because she left him for someone else, reportedly.
I know. I guess Evan's point is that
these are all
things,
allegedly.
Right. So listen, you want to foster an environment, this is incredibly important, where accusers and victims feel completely okay coming forth with their allegations. You want that to happen because you want to hear those stories, but at the same time, you also want to have an environment where the court of public opinion doesn't end someone's career before we had the opportunity to find out whether or not this stuff is true.
100%. I think, and Jason can speak to this, more than I can, but I think we can also look at, recent stories about sexual assault and sexual abuse and the Me Too movement and realize that simply because something may not currently violate the law or may no longer be prosecutable because of statute of limitations, something doesn't mean that there wasn't immoral conduct happening.
We should also be very clear that she, as we said, again, want to stress this, she did not name Chris, but everyone is adding up the things that she said. But,
I described how much older the guy was than her.
Because Legendary said that they're launching an investigation. The reason there would be an investigation, and Jason, this might be something, if there was going to be anything that could end up in the court of law, this would be the only thing. Chloe did work at Nerdist, and she worked there when Chris was there, when Chris was one of the bosses there. So maybe they're looking at whether or not there is any, form of sexual misconduct.
Right. I mean, unless she's alleging some sort of rape or sexual assault of some kind, that would probably be a civil issue, not a criminal one. But sure, that would certainly exist if it happened and he was
if it happened in the workplace.
Nerdist removing Chris from the website, isn't that kind of guilty until proven innocent now? I mean, isn't that kind of the opposite?
We also
of the
don't know what
system?
Nerdist knows that they haven't said publicly is the other factor here.
Well, I mean, if they know something and they haven't said it publicly,
it does seem
then they've made this. I mean, exactly. It seems to be that they either, per your point, Evan, that they have assumed that he's guilty, or they have more information than they've revealed, which has led them to make this decision.
But that's not what they said. What they said was they're investigating. right? They
Correct.
didn't say they've reached
That they found something,
That
right.
they found something. They say they're investigating. So I'm taking them on their word.
You can have certain information and then still be investigating further things. And the fact that they're removing him, they may want to remove him
Because
while
if
the
they
investigation
had something
is going on.
concrete, wouldn't they say we've investigated and found
Not
enough
necessarily.
evidence?
Not if they if there are more things that they have
But we're
questions
arguing
about.
such a hypothetical right now, and I think it's so. I mean, look, if she was the victim
you
of
started
something
the
terrible, then
hypothetical.
that sucks, and that's terrible. And I feel bad for her. But at the same time, if nothing happened, if this didn't happen, and he's innocent, then this is
And
a terrible situation
to your point,
for
Evan,
him.
To your point, Evan, she's not filed a lawsuit. She again has not named who this person
But
is.
she did come forth with her story.
She
though.
did, and even actually in the essay, which again doesn't name him, she says that if it's an unintended consequence that he has professional problems because of this, she's like, well, that's a problem for him, but that is not what her intent was with this.
Hi, I'm Wednesday, calling in from Rock Hill, South Carolina. And I was once in an abusive relationship, so I can relate and say it's a horrible thing. But I agree with the other guy. Because we are in the middle of the Me Too movement, all she had to do was write that essay. She never has to call his name. She never has to file any formal complaint or anything. But because we're in the midst of this Me Too movement, all she had to do was make accusations. If you get in a relationship that's bad and there are rules and regulations from the beginning, then you get out of it. You don't stay in it for 3 years. Who stays in something that's that bad for that long so that you can turn around later and say, hey, this guy was bad to me and ruined his life? Like you said, like the other guy said, if nothing happened at Nerdist and it had nothing to do with his job, why should he be penalized and removing something that he built from the ground up? I think it's horrible. And I think that the Me Too movement is getting cluttered with people who are just women who are opportunists. It's sad.
Okay.
right.
We should
Wednesday.
say we did reach out to Chris Hardwick's people to see if they had any comment about Nerdist removing him. We have not heard anything back from them.